Greg Shoemaker, TriStateFootball.com, here at Holmes High School as we enter a new era of Bulldogs football. I'm with head coach Ben Nevels. And Ben, congratulations on getting the job. But what's really interesting to me is you took last year off after being defensive coordinator here at the school. What was the reason for the hiatus?
Well, primarily I had to finish my schooling. So for the first 3 years while I was with Coach Lickard, I was defense coordinator for 2 years, but I was still working out at Citibank out in Florence. And I was ready to turn over a new leaf, so I started my studies to finish up my master's degree. And taking the year off really gave me the chance to step back and determine what I wanted to do next in life. And the extra time helped me finish up my studies, so now I'm ready to go with that.
The past 4 years, the Bulldogs have won 27 games. That is the most in a 4-year period in the last 2 decades. You've been here for all this good. As players come through this, do you see a change from when you started here and to now in their dedication?
Absolutely. The biggest thing, that's at 27, I didn't know that stat. Putting a little heat on it. But 27 games, it's a lot of games to win. The biggest thing that I've noticed about our kids, and it started back with Coach Lickard, I got in on his second year, and what he sold me on was basically building a fence around the program where our kids could get away from life and just come and be kids and play football. And that's what we worked to do, and we were successful at. I think that's the biggest part of our success came from our kids had no outside distractions. They didn't have to worry about the stresses of life and the worries of what was going on when they got home. They were safe here, they felt safe, they knew we loved them, and they just played football. And I think carrying that over year after year after year, that's how you develop the program, and that's how the wins are going to continue to come.
Now, you are a special education teacher. There's a big difference between doing that and coaching football. How do you go from turning one thing off and turning on the other?
Well, it's not as a big of a difference as some may think. I'm a guy that I always say that I want to keep it simple. I subscribe to the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So I try to teach my students during school day just like I try to teach my students, athletes, in football. So I want things to be broken down as simple as they can. The term now that we like to use in the education world is differentiated instruction. So I tell all of our coaches that we've got to find ways to differentiate what we're going to do on the football field just like we do in the classroom. So, for instance, Brendan may understand a scheme if I explain it to him one way, but John may not. So we've got to figure out different ways to identify and explain our schemes to our kids. So they kind of go hand in hand, and it's been a pretty smooth transition. Now, I can't be as intense in the classroom as I am on the field, obviously, but as far as just teaching and breaking things down to the most simplistic form, that's what we do in both areas during the school day and on the field, because we feel like if the less our kids have to think, the faster they can play, and that's what we're aiming for on the football field.
Well, you talk about speed, and every player I've interviewed so far is all excited about your offense. What kind of scheme are you going to run? Because they say it's going to be up-tempo.
Well, a longtime friend, and actually a guy who has put in more hours at Holmes High School than most anybody that's left here, Coach John Hopkins is going to run our offense this year, and he loves Oregon. And he showed me some film on some stuff, and a lot of their bubble screens and their zones and their sweeps, and he sold me on it. And we can't do everything they do, but we're going to borrow a couple pages out of their playbook. We're going to spread it out. Everybody knows we have a great tailback, but what they don't realize is we have a few other pretty doggone good playmakers as well that we can spread the wealth to, and we're just going to spread the field and make everybody cover the whole field, and I think that'll help us out.
Now, defensively, on the defensive side of the ball, you were a defensive coordinator. What are you going to run on that side of the ball?
The defense is my baby. That's what I tell everybody. I love defense. I just love playing the game of scheming and trying to figure out what they're going to do on offense. Scheme-wise, we're going to go back to our stacked defense that we ran when Coach Lickard was here and my last year here. So we're going to go with the 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers. We'll throw in a couple strong safeties and then your 3 DBs. I think it fits our personnel. We don't always have the biggest guys in the world. Now this year, it's been the first time we've had a few bigger bodies up front. but we want to be fast on defense. I tell the kids every day, if you want to play first on defense, you've got to be able to run. And that's the philosophy that we're going to play with.
You've had an awful lot of good mentors along the way, guys like Roy Lucas Jr., Jeff Marksberry, Stephen Lickert. Is there anything you take from any one of those that you really like to mold into your own personality now?
Absolutely. I think I'm kind of a melting pot of everybody who has touched my life, both on the football field and off. I'd say the biggest influence is probably my father, who has never played football before in his life, but he's an old Baptist preacher. And when I start talking, a lot of people see that coming out in me. I was raised in the church with him and my mom, and they taught me to do the little things right. And that's what I say to my kids every day, do the little things right. Somebody's always watching you. As far as football-wise, Coach Lucas taught me to set your priorities. His big saying was faith, family, football. In that order. Your faith comes first, your family comes second, and then football. And I think if you take care of that, everything else will take care of itself. Coach Marksberry was my defense coordinator in high school. So he helped me see the game differently when I was in high school. I'd played since I was a kid, but I never really saw it through the eyes of a coach until I got with him. And he would teach me the nuances and challenge me to try to see what's going to come next or why they're lining up in this formation. So he helped me with that. And then Coach Lickert is just, he's one of my best friends. Just a great guy to learn under. He brought me in under his wing, and he just taught me a lot. Just watching how he goes through things, how he builds a program, how he sets expectations for kids. So I can't pinpoint one, but I can say a combination of all of them, plus some of the other coaches that coached me along the way, you'll see come out in me throughout the day, throughout practice.
There you go. That's head coach Ben Nevels. The future of the Holmes Bulldogs looks very like they're in very good hands.